First of all, I just want to say that I'm sorry for how long it took for me to get this video out. A lot has been going on, alright? This is like my 4th time recording this. Anyway, let's just get on with it. Roll the brand new titles. Yawwie News! And it's back once again. Hello all you quarantiners and welcome to episode 5 of Yawwie News, the show where I talk about some of the latest railway headlines. And boy do I have some great news for you. We're in lockdown again. Yay! Except you kids. Go back to school. That was a bad impression, but regardless, just because there's another lockdown does not mean it's the end of the world, hence why I'm still here to keep you all entertained. Isn't that right, Gary? There you plump. Anyway, a lot's been going on lately, so let's jump right into it, starting off with updates on the railway during this god-awful pandemic. As you know, Grand Central and whole trains are now back from the dead, and what? Oh, sorry? Alright. This just in. Whole trains have died again. Typical day.
Breaking news!
Grand Central West Coast is cancelled! Yeah, once again, COVID-69 has driven something that we've all been looking forward to right down the fecking drain. As planned services from London Euston to Blackpool North have officially been abandoned, meaning the poor refurbished Class 90 and Mark IV sets have been put to no use and will probably be returned to storage. This is incredibly sad news, but I'd like to commend Grand Central for all their hard work. Right, back to driving the fire pit you go then, eh? Okay, moving on. What? Oh god, oh dear. This just in. Grand Central has also died again. Always good that. Bad news for Kent after Eurostar announced that they won't be stopping any of their services at Ashford or Ebbsfleet until 2022. Oof. TfL are now receiving government funds and have reached a deal which should keep them running for another few months. And Crossrail is not badly delayed anymore. But it was... I don't know. And 802-020 was the latest train to receive quite a striking NHS livery, which in my opinion is a tad too over the top, but it does the job. Furthermore, since the announcement of face masks being mandatory in public transport, we've seen many TOCs across the country add face masks to their trains to spread the message of keeping safe while travelling. Anyway, those are the updates as of late, but now we must talk about something a bit more serious. On the 12th of August 2020, Scotrail HST units 43030 and 43140 were involved in a serious railway incident. The train was running the 1 Tango 08 638 Aberdeen to Glasgow service when it was reported that the train had completely derailed due to a landslide near Stonehaven. 9 people were on board this train, of which 3 died, including the guard and driver, and 6 were injured. Bearing in mind that if there wasn't a pandemic going on right now, the outcome of this incident could have been a lot worse. I just want to say a huge thanks to those who paid their respects, and my thoughts go out to all of those who were involved. Hopefully everyone else can recover from this and get back to their normal lives fairly soon, and let's hope that we don't have anything as bad as this again. Apart from that incident, there was also another derailment over at Tunbridge, where Southern Unit 377317 had derailed as it was heading out of a siding, causing many delays and cancellations for other trains across that network. Luckily, as the train was an empty stock service, nobody was hurt, and the unit itself made it safely back on the rails without any serious damage. But if you think that wasn't enough, there was another derailment involving a freight train in Wales. Yep, apparently 10 wagons had derailed, with each one carrying up to 75 tons of diesel, and caught fire in this area that I refuse to pronounce as I'm not Welsh and I may get butchered for saying it wrong first time. 300 people near the area of the crash were evacuated before being allowed to return a few days later, but luckily no one was hurt, apart from the environment. I hope everyone there is okay and doing well. We shall now go over to Network Rail's bank account for more on these stories. I'm sure Network Rail has a lot of work, as well as explaining to do in order to prevent those sort of disasters from happening again.
Breaking
Jesus Christ, my new fridge fell over again. Rail franchising is over! After 24 years of chaos, the government has finally put an end to rail franchising across the UK, meaning companies will have to fend for themselves after 12 months. Current franchise agreements will be replaced with operator contracts, which are similar to how Arriva operate TfL, but don't actually own it. Some companies, however, will receive funding during the 12 months, if not longer than that. These include Great Western Railway until 2021, Go Via Thames Link Railway until 2021, South Eastern until 2021 or 2022, and Spaghetti West Coast until 2022, but it's likely that the first group will probably die before the spaghetti is finished. And some companies will be supported by emergency measures for under 12 months, or in some cases 6 months. Those are South Western Railway and TransPennine Express. But other than that, Cross Country is the first company to run services under a new government contract, as Arriva were awarded an extension up to October 2023, and it looks like Transport for Wales are next to be nationalised by February. Well, this is going to be extremely interesting. We can now put those 24 years of hell behind us, and say hello to what should hopefully be a better managed railway. The Class 701, quite an interesting machine of the 21st century. Built by Bombardar Transportation, these trains were ordered back in around 2017 by South Western Railway.
Huh? What is this?
In order to revolutionise travel on the South Western commuter lines. The 701 will be the successor of 4 trains currently running on the network. The first train to go will be the Class 707 Desira City, which will transfer over to South Eastern, followed by the Class 458 Jupiter, then the Class 456, and lastly, the Class 455. After the first set of deliveries, the Class 701s proceeded on to test runs, first starting off in Weymouth, where 002 failed miserably because these trains are complete shit. Absolutely wonderful things. What? A few weeks later, Unit 005 made it into London Waterloo for the very first time, surprisingly, before making its way down to Guildford. And from that point, the toy trams have been spotted moving around various other locations on the network, which just makes me think, how hasn't one of them exploded yet? But that's not the ultimate news. On August 24th of this year, South Western Railway
What is this?
announced that the Class 701 Adventurer, from that day forward, was going to be known as the Arterio. What? Okay, let me quickly explain the science behind that name. Since the Class Malware device is a new commuter train, SWR nicknamed them the Arterio because they would be the artery of carrying passengers into and out of London. That's probably the stupidest name to give to a train, considering that every other train is an artery of some sort, but I suppose the new name is also a perfect way to describe the likes of the Class 701. Terrible!
Oh no! Anyway, last week...
Also, if you're wondering when these buckets will enter service, they're currently scheduled to enter traffic by early 2021. But let's hope that gets pushed back further, eh? Oh, and one more thing. Pigs back in December. How about that? And that is the end of this headline. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to throw up in the ladies' bathroom. Good night. Also in the news, production of the new Class 484D trains is well underway. 5 two-car units are currently being built over at Viva-Rail's Long Marston site and are due to be delivered to the Isle of Wight for testing later on this year. May I just say, production is looking fantastic, and it's nice to see the D-stock still being kept strong. The entire Island line is also due to receive a whopping £26 million upgrade by South Western Railway, which would be the biggest transformation to the line's infrastructure since the line was electrified in 1967. Work on this scheme is due to start in January next year. The entire line may be closed, but at least they will have a replacement bus service to cover in the meantime. Bus! Also in the news, your Crossrail, tnxrail, Purple Elizabeth Line class trains are now in service between London and Heathrow, following their grant of permission to run through the Heathrow tunnels a few months ago. 345004 was the first unit to enter this section of track on the 30th of July, and also the first 9-car Crossrail train to return to traffic after all 9-car sets were suspended for a short while because I believe their antivirus expired. But that aside, this is absolutely great news. It's just a shame they were 26 months late. Oof. Next up in the news, the first Tri-Mode Class 769 unit for Great Western Railway has arrived at Reading Train Care Depot. There will be 19 of these former Class 319 sets to eventually enter service on the Reading to Gatwick Airport line before heading on to other routes, allowing the Class 165 and 166 units to operate elsewhere. As well as that, they will also work on services out of Paddington to cover for the loss of some 387s that went to Heathrow Express. If all goes well, we should see Class 769s in traffic by early next year. Isn't that going to be exciting? Gary! Meanwhile in Scotland, work has started on 319 and 769 conversions into things for Orient high-speed logistics. Here's one of them out of the shed, looking very interesting indeed. I changed the yellow on the front though, that don't look right. But in more sad news, the 4th of September marked the last ever Class 91 service from Edinburgh. 91109 and 82225 worked 1 Echo 17. Which was the last booked Class 91 service from Edinburgh Waverley to London King's Cross. We will now take this time to pay respects to the 225s, as they may never step foot in Edinburgh again.
If I wasn't the man I was, I'd kiss you. It's a fine thing, lads.
Wait a minute. 1 Sierra 04 Peterborough to Edinburgh?
So that was a fucking lie.
Well, I guess that was a waste of time. Oh well, off to drown myself in baked beans. Speaking of NNER 91s, 10 locomotives will eventually be receiving an overhaul by Wabtec in order to enable them to keep running until 2023, with a possible extension into 2024. Also in the news, 180-111 is the first Class 180 to receive full EMR treatment, as is seen here out of the shed wearing the brand new interim livery, and may I say, it looks fantastic. I look forward to seeing these in service. That's if they don't blow up in the process. Am I right, Paul Tybert?
You'll be going nowhere.
Yeah, no mate. Can you let me out your basement now? As well as that, there are also plenty of Meridians running around in the new interim livery, and after it was announced that the MML electrification testing will continue, this means that Greater Anglia Class 360s will be able to transfer in order to begin training rather soon. Very nice. And lastly, we have once again reached another end of an era, as the London Overground Class 315s have been sadly withdrawn from passenger service and replaced with... Unit 802 was the last train to operate on the Romford to Upminster shuttle on the 4th of October, before we saw it speed off back to Ilford Depot, and 16 days later, Units 802 and 807 ran for the last time on the West Anglian network. I was lucky enough to catch the final journey it made from Liverpool Street to Chingford along with a good friend of mine, before us and loads of others saw it out of Chingford for the very last time. Boy, what a day it was, to see so many rail fans from across the country gathering together to witness this great but sad event. I mean, there are people cheering it as it entered Liverpool Street. There's a DJ playing music at Chingford, who caused a power cut through the entire station, which cost me £11 at my oyster, for God's sake! But the saddest part of this whole experience, out of all the people that showed up, there was no Jeff Marshall. Anyway, enough of me yapping on. It's time to watch these two fantastic units depart Chingford for the final time. Take it away, driver. who didn't even blow the horn as a final salute for the train. How could you? Just kidding, I don't care. And those are your main headlines. In other news, we say a happy belated birthday to the Class 700s, as they are now 4 years old. So that's 4 years of a brilliant ironing board service. Get off the stage! Class 745s are absolutely dominating the Great Eastern Main and Stansted Express lines. If you haven't been on one of these trains, then for God's sake, what are you doing? Get on one! Good job for Greater Anglia for giving us a fantastic train. And speaking of Greater Anglia, they also decided to cancel their order of 10 car Class 720s in favour of more 5-car units. Instead, they will receive a total of 44 5-car trains courtesy of Tesco Finest Express delivery. These jokes aren't even funny anymore. Also due to come for GA are former London Overground Class 317-7 units, which will come back into force in order to allow more non-compliant 317s to be withdrawn. Sad, but interesting. Northern are also near completion of their CAF train order, as there are very few Class 195s and 331s left to enter traffic. On a scale of 1 to 10, how gay do you think Avanti West Coast have made 390-119? Well, the answer is 600 million out of 10! And it has a name. Hello, Progress, mate. How are you? Oi, mate. Yeah, what? Can I see your homework, mate? Yeah, alright. Ah, sick. Can I copy it, mate? Oh, yeah, sure. Just change alphabet so it doesn't look obvious. Oh, you absolute cunt. Work on the £1.2 billion East Coast project has commenced at King's Cross. So expect a lot of closures to happen between London and Grantham in the next coming months. I would explain more, but I can't be bothered. Class 196s for West Midlands Railway are currently on test runs, and may I say, they sound incredible. Incredibly in need for some new brakes. Now if you excuse me, I have a funeral to attend for my ears. Electro Stars across the Southern and Great Northern Network will be receiving a refurbishment as part of a 5-year, £55 million modernisation programme for the units announced by Govia Thameslink Railway and Portable. The trains will be fitted with new track lights, real-time passenger info screens, USB sockets and much more. Bakerloo line trains are also due to receive a refurbishment, which will include things like new LED lights, dot matrix displays and wheelchair bays, so that the trains are compliant with the rail vehicle accessibility regulations. Sainsbury's has launched a new train. What? It's not made by Sainsbury's? Then why is it orange? Oh, it's for West Midlands Railway. Ah, yes, I do apologise. I think I got it now, thank you. Oh no. And the government has allowed non-compliant EMR HSTs and Welsh buses to keep running through until December. However, it is likely that the HSTs will stay in service until May next year. Finally, we will now go live to our trade correspondent John, who is currently interviewing the Chief Executive of Transport for London. What's going on, John?
I am once again asking for your financial support.
That's some great work from John there. Thanks, John. And that's the end of the video. Just quickly before I go, if you like what I do and wish to support me further with content creation, then why not consider leaving a donation? With your help, this will allow me to deliver more entertaining videos for you all to enjoy. If anyone is interested, then please do follow the link in the description. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.